Now there is definitely lightning. And that's a lot of it's time. I just maxed out my mic. Sorry about that. Chapter 1142. What I'm afraid of. Well, that doesn't sound ominous at all. Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage, Volume 28. Give back the sword and girls. Thunder Bagua. I mean, it's exactly what we expected, right? Like, Yamato just shows up, beats everyone up, and it's GG's. There is no... There has to be something more to this, not Yamato, the Wano stuff. It's meant to be read in the combination of last title, Older Woman, What I'm Afraid of. What I'm Afraid of is a month break for the manga. True and real. Let's see, because I do think the Older Woman title was weird. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Alright. Teacher, help us, teacher! There's a huge snake in the schoolyard. It must be Jormungandr. It's the snake that brings an end to the week. You mean Saturday? Eagle's gonna eat us! Everyone, run into the school! Why the hell are they talking about Saturday? What? Is this like a pun that I'm missing? You mean Saturday? What? Week? Oh my god. Bro, that's not even up, that's like that's dad joke levels of fun. Oh my god. Oh my god. You know what? Let's keep on moving on. A faculty room, Walrus School. We've got trouble, teachers. There really is an enormous snake out there. A beast from the underworld? What is it doing here in the sun world? I only hope we can evacuate everyone in time. Math teacher, Mr. Blade. The Mr. Blade. They call me Mr. Blade. Bro thinks he's cool like that. To be fair, he does look kind of cool. I wonder if the Skypea snake is related to Elbaf. Decent theory. Decent connection, but I'm not sure. Because with Norse lore, there's obviously a bunch of snakes. You know, like the sea serpent is obviously the biggest one. But there's a bunch of snakes in Norse. So it could just be that. And also, like, the dragon ship, right? Pretty sure the silhouette is basically the same. Yeah, like, the silhouette is also like a serpent dragon. Saturday being the final day of the week was a thing in the past. A lore dag laundry day was with Sunday, marking the new week with the sun rising. Okay, but saying it brings an end to the week, and then saying you mean Saturday? It's not even funny. Okay. We should call the chiefs. Walrus School. Principal Tusk. But in the meantime, the children are in danger. Language teacher, librarian, Miss Anji. Teacher is gonna gobble Aegir? Aegir? Okay, Aegir, I guess. Up. Move it. Wait, this is who? This is Principal Tusk. He's popping off. No, it's not Principal Tusk. Is it Principal Tusk? I'm pretty sure it is. It is, I think. And then we have Saul. Sorry, I'm late. Watch out, Tusk. X-Slam. Midterm X-Slam, rather. Incredible. Bro has hockey. That's cool. Has 2 legs. He has a... I'm pretty sure that's like a peg leg of some sort. At least in the frame where he's jumping. All Vice Admirals can use hockey. Yes. It's cool to see him in action, though. It's cool that he's just popping off. Alright, what's going on here? What? Mr. Principal! Ow, my back. Thanks for the help, Saul. Don't mention it. Where'd the snake come from, though? Former Giant Pirates Tusk Principal. I mean, yeah, here we see it very clearly. That is definitely a peg leg, which is a big deal. That's a big deal. I don't like the peg leg. I thought we'd get one character with an eye patch, a peg leg, and a hook. That's too much. That's too much. I would rather have a character with an eye patch, a character with a peg leg, and a character with a hook hand. Because we've already got Crocodile. We already have Crocodile with a hook thing, you know? So now we're just missing a eye patch. Lucci has the shoulder bird. Yeah, that is also kind of a piratey thing. Soul final attack being called final exam is so cool. I'm just looking around to see if I've missed anything. I don't think I did. But yeah, seeing Saul actually fight is really, really cool. You used to be a warrior too, Mr. Principal? The rumors were true. Mr. Saul is super duper strong. He was in the Navy, right? That's really cool. Very, very cheeky of you, Oda, to do a little bit of cheeky recap. Thank you, Oda. Thank you, Oda. There are monsters like this in the Sun World? Not really. They're more like the usual wild animals. It's enormous. Sorry about the scare, children. Thank you, Mr. Saul. Mr. Wolf? Huh? What is it now? Inside the school. And Mr. Wolf, what happened to you? Gym teacher, Mr. Wolf. So are they just like creating chaos and are yoinking kids in the process? They must be, right? This is just like the chaos is already breaking down and we just don't know what's causing it yet. But this is obviously them. Loki sort of has 2 eye patches. Technically, yes, but in terms of coolness factor, no. He just has his eyes bandaged. An eye patch is an actual eye patch. It's important. Very important. Forget me. What about the children? Teacher, Ilva, and the others wandered off somewhere. What? Where? Oh, hello. Are you Luffy's friends? That's right. Did Luffy do something to you? Be careful, Mr. Soul. Okay, something sus is going on. You mustn't touch the children, question mark, question mark. Which way Ilva and them go? Bro, the names are stun locking me. That way toward the beach. Mr. saw what happened to them. They fell asleep and would talk to us. Wouldn't talk to us. Asleep? But you said they were walking. They're all asleep and won't respond to us. Come back. Where are y'all going? Blow the horn. Warn the whole country. What the hell is this? This seems like an absurdly strong power, doesn't it? To just knock someone out and make them sleepwalk instantly? Is this going to be like another like sugar power? Where it's kind of like enabled or disabled and only Hockey can resist it? Because it seems like it. Sugar had an eye patch? Sugar, One Piece. I mean, that's not an eye patch. Is that supposed to be an eye patch, or is it like a single glass? Or lens, rather. I always thought that was a lens. Yeah, I don't know. Arrow seems to indicate that they're walking because of Gunko's power. I can see them walking because of Gunko's power, but what knocked them out? That's what I'm interested in. I do think the arrow is meant to be Gunko's power. I do think so. But how did they just all get knocked out? Unless they were just sleeping and Gunko just yoinked them from the beds or something? But they wouldn't be sleeping, right? Maybe someone just used Conkers to knock them unconscious? And now they're sleeping and she just made them walk? I don't know. Alright, let's see. Let's see. Not the whole country, Tusk. That's going overboard. This is an abnormal state of affairs, Saul. Look at the forest. It's on fire, isn't it? The forest is absolutely on fire. Never mind. There are more monsters there. Where did they come from? See? Abnormal, right? I'm just trying to comprehend the scale again. Are they supposed to be like actually... They are, right? Because they're far away and they're bigger than Saul, and Saul is ginormous compared to like normal people. So these things, they are like actually ludicrously big. But because we just see Saul, they look like completely like just a big dragon. Ors level maybe bigger. I think that's going to be one of those things that will always like stun lock me when reading the manga. It's just the scale of things. Okay. The children are passing out. What's wrong? What's wrong? Hang in there. Is this just like Conqueror's hockey? Or what? They're literally just dropping there. I just don't understand. Get up, kids. What's happening? Let me down there, Saul. I'll take a look at them. Thanks, please do, I'm at a loss. The first thing we should do is stop the children and get them to safety. Bro, I don't know what's going on here. I think some real bad's happening. And it's also very interesting that they're just like mostly silhouettes. But to be fair, I guess we saw the weird serpent thing pretty up close, so there isn't like anything weird going on with it. At least I don't think so. No frothing from the mouth, so I don't think it's conquerors. I guess that is also true. Usually they just immediately, like when they fall unconscious, they do start like foaming at the mouth, kind of. But what else could it be? Is it just like actually like a sugar power where she just, the same way she just turned people into toys, this is just like, now you're asleep? Because if it's only kids, obviously kids would have like lesser hockey, right? Because no one else seems to be affected at all. This chapter is the most unpredictable chapter. I mean, so far, it's just chaos. Like, it's actually just chaos. So, I don't know. We very, very quickly spiraled out of control. Underworld Elbaf. You thought leaving one leg trapped in Sea Prism Stone would contain the true extent of my power? That was foolish of you. If you want to save Elbaf, undo the final cuff now. You'll soon see if I'm really helpless or not in this condition. Loki. Okay, so, looking at it like this, I'm really starting to comprehend just how ludicrously big he is. Because initially I was kind of like, yeah, he's big. They're talking about him being kind of like oars. And I was like, yeah, whatever. But actually seeing a giant that barely goes up to... Well, to be fair, this is an upward-facing shot, so he does look even bigger. But seeing a giant barely go up to his knee is kind of like, oh. Oh. Yeah, exactly, like Hyrule barely even reaches his knee. It's kind of spooky. Is that Thor's hammer? I think it is. Because the name of Ragnir, or Ragnir, whatever, it's obviously Mjolnir and Ragnarok combined into one word. So it's Rag from Ragnarok and Mjolnir as Nier. It's just the two words merged together. Very clever Oda. Is the hammer that will be infused with thunder and it will bring about Ragnarok. Which, by the way, I have been looking into a bunch of different mythologies, and it's very fascinating that there is always a dude with a big hammer and he is thunder. Because in Latvian folklore, we also have, he's just called Thunder in Latvian. It's just Patquantavs or something. It's like Thunder Father, right? And it's also a dude who just brings about thunder. So it feels like it's one of those commonalities in every single mythology that just kind of exists. Because I think like parts of our mythology and like the old religions and the old gods, they go back like way beyond traditional stuff. It's interesting. Thunder is just so cool. I don't think it's even just so cool. I think it's because people were like, oh my god, what is that? He's splitting the sky. Loud noise. And they just came up with a weird god. Smithing hammers cause sparks? Yeah, exactly. It must be something like that. Are you sure they weren't derived from the same mythologies? It's hard to say. I've looked into this. Apparently, a lot of the, like, the Nordic... all the Nordic lore and the Baltic lore, they do have so many similarities that apparently, like, there are links that clearly connect them, but there are also things that are, like, very hard to dispute where they originate from. Because we have, like, a lot of the pagan beliefs that go, like, way beyond Christianity and stuff. Like, Christianity was only taken to us, like, way later. A lot of the pagan gods were still around for a long time. I was recently looking into this stuff because I find it interesting. I do think a lot of them must be derived from the same stuff because it's all the northern tribes. But there are some notable differences as well. It's interesting. They all come from Proto-Indo-European Godfather. I think yes. I think it's all the same like region-esque stuff. When you start dissecting any pantheon, they are usually a blend of the same stories told slightly different ways. Most likely, yeah. What if there's another hammer closer to Mjolnir, but Usopp won't wield it? He'll forge it, and Nami, the Weather Queen, will be wielding it. I have thought about that, and I think it's a really cool prospect, but I don't think it would be Nami wielding it. I think it would be Nami enchanting Usopp's hammer. And I think that would be a very cool payoff moment where Usopp made her like the spinny staff, whatever it was called, the what was it called? The weather staff, whatever. And both of them together have this sort of dynamic where they enchant climate baton, that's the one. Climb attack, that's the one. So she uses that to enchant Usopp's hammer, and then he basically pops his like devil form. That would be really, really cool. It'd be like a devil trigger, but also a Titan transformation. I think that'd be cool. Zeus is gonna die in this arc and is gonna be infused into the hammer. Maybe. I like the idea of them working together, though. I think that would be very, very cool. Because like if they're never going to rise to like the level of Luffy or Zoro or something else, I think having like the excuse of them also being incredibly powerful, but them always having to stick together to be powerful, I think would create really, really interesting dynamics where they can kind of be as powerful as someone like maybe even Sanji, Luffy, Zoro, but they need to like really do a good old 1-2. I think it'd be cool. To be fair though, I think also giving the hammer to Nami would be kind of funny because Usopp would mauled out. Can you imagine how much Usopp would be mauling if Nami is the one wielding the Thunder God's hammer? It'd be very funny. All right, let's keep on reading. Let's keep on reading. Hey, what's his deal? Better hurry up. If I keep landing blast, eventually they'll hit something. Wait, what? Wait, has he already been blasting and the fires will spread? You'll know what Elbaf is susceptible to, don't you? Wait, has he already been blasting? Because I don't think I've seen any lightning or fire. Maybe the tree is made out of many Loki-sized giants and he frees them to annihilate 80% of the population. I think that is I think that could be likely. Did you skip a page? I don't think so. No. But he's saying like if I keep swinging. Okay, let's go. I can bring you all to ruin. Okay, now there is lightning. Now there is definitely lightning. And that's a lot of okay, once again, we have to stop for a second and think about the scale of things. Because on a single manga panel, it just looks like a tree that gets struck by lightning from all four sides. But then we must remember that this is Elbaf. You must remember that this is Elbaf. And then you look at the lightning and think about how ludicrously big this lightning must be. Look, I think calling the lightning as a Ragnarok hammer might be very fitting. Oda went minimalist on that hammer design. I did hope it was going to have some kind of runic scripture, but it does seem to just be flat, unfortunately. I did really, really hope it would have text on it. Like some kind of lore etched into the hammer. I'm kind of sad about that, I'm not gonna lie. The lightning's gonna hit Arc Maxim and it will crush into the sea. You think he's gonna shoot to the moon? In Norse myth, the hammer doesn't shoot lightning, it's the hammer. The hammer is the storm itself and lightning strikes it and shoots it, basically just links. You can see the tree, it doesn't. Yeah, I think it's just gonna be the typical thing of like him blasting and the lightning is just going to blast out of the hammer. And that's about it. The giant sword through the sun world is not drawn. I think it would act as a lightning rod. The big sword, we talked about that. I think the sword is extremely sus, by the way. I think that sword is incredibly sus. And yes, on the mural, there is the tree being struck by lightning. And it seems to come from the Arc Maxim in the mural. We talked about that last time, I think. But I am kind of sad that the hammer is just black. I really, really wished it would have cool text on it. It would maybe talk about the first world. Maybe the hammer was also like an ancient weapon of sorts. Not like the ancient weapon, but a ancient weapon. So everything is on fire now. Was that thunder? There's fire on the south side of the island, Chief Ja Rule. Did you hear a horn too? Anything but fire. We must put it out. I think that is very true. Is it a hot take to say that I think Loki has more aura than Kaido? Is this a hot take? Because when I look at this panel right here, and I think about Kaido doing the Thunder Bagua, I think it's like, don't talk to me or my son ever again type energy. Where Loki is obviously the dad. Everyone also thinks Loki has more aura than Kaido. Good. That's very good. Because, I'm sorry, we just had a big dude wielding thunder. And compared to this big dude wielding thunder, I think this big dude wielding thunder is much cooler. And also like everything about him is cooler. His design, in my opinion, is way cooler than Kaido. His hammer is way cooler than Kaido. The only cool thing about Kaido was that he could turn into a massive dragon. That's it. The rest of the details around Kaido and Loki, like, I'm sorry. It's not even a... Like, frankly, it's embarrassing how much cooler Loki is. We don't even know Loki's fruit yet. Even if he doesn't have a fruit, and it's just the hammer itself, somehow pulling lightning, or spawning lightning, or the hammer itself is just lightning incarnate, or whatever, I'm sorry, it's already incredibly cool. Just putting it out there. Size matters after all. That is not... It's not what I meant. But we can leave it at that. We can leave it at that. Okay, I don't think I missed anything. I think just everything is on fire. Okay. Loki's must destroy Elbaf to force the giants to open the border, similar to Momonosuke. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. Okay, what's going on here? The Walrus School. Mr. Saul! Mr. Principal! I recognize those monsters. You do, Miss Anji? It was earlier today. Loki has a huge hammer and he destroys the world. No, he doesn't. The one who destroys the world is Nika. Huh? To be fair, we already could infer this, that there was like that there was weirdness around the whole Nika being the savior and the good one. And this is where my entire theory, I have to bring it up again. Look, I'm not saying that this is gonna be true. I'm not. Okay, moving on. Loki has Nika fruit. Okay. Let me explain. I'm not saying that's what's gonna happen. I'm not saying that's what's gonna happen. But I don't think it's also a particularly big coincidence that we have Luffy, when he goes into Gear 5, he sometimes throws around lightning. He does all kinds of weird and wacky things, and now we have him doing the same thing. He's creating lightning. Maybe. Okay, let me go back to reading. He's not saying it won't happen? Exactly. Loki has a huge hammer and destroys the world. No, he doesn't. It's Nika who destroys the world. Look! Ew! He's scary! No, look! Loki is scarier! No way! Obviously the scariest thing of all is Fenrir, the giant wolf. The way Nika is drawn here is also kinda sus. Because... No, it is the same thing, right? Because in the mural, Nika was also drawn with a sword and a shield, right? One Piece mural. Yes, in the mural, he was also wielding a sword and a shield. So that is very, very true. Giant fruit Nika version? That would be kind of diabolical. Heimdall will sound the these words. The Gjallar horn to summon the gods when the giants draw near at Ragnarok, the end of the world. It's gonna be something like that. Could be the lightning fruit. I assume you mean Mod or Thor, something like that. Let's see what the class turns into. Is ghosts, the undead Draugr, storms, need Hogger, the lightning dragon, Jormungandr, my mom. It's very interesting the things they mention, because the undead Draugr, those are like things that exist in every single game, right? It's like these things. It's like the drowned dead or something. Yeah, there they are. I'm pretty sure these things even existed in Dark Souls. 99% sure we saw these things in Dark Souls. They are in everything. But it's very interesting that they also mentioned the Lightning Dragon. The Lightning Dragon is a very curious thing to mention. A very, very curious thing to mention, considering we've already had suspicions that a certain dragon wields certain powers that may or may not have saved Luffy in Logtown. Just putting it out there. There is a person by the name of Dragon, and there is a lightning bolt that seemed to save Luffy in Logtown, and both of those things, coincidentally, had a crossover in the arc of Logtown. I'm not saying lightning, or rather dragon, is a lightning dragon. I'm not saying that. However, I might be saying that he is. I don't think Dragon would be a lightning dragon. I think he would be like a whatchamacallit, like a weird elemental or almost weather dragon. Because I think the way they're going to spin, if Dragon's ability does have lightning, we have seen him do like wishy whirlies with wind. But the thing with lightning is it's just pressure. Right? It's like air pressure. The difference between two different things. So it could just be him basically changing the pressures in the air, and that creates lightning. Science. Dragon fruit reveal in Elbaf. I do think we will see Dragon on Elbaf, because I think he has too much history with Dragon. Or rather with Elbaf. I love the my mom at the end. Okay. Is everybody finished? Teacher, I have to think of so many scary things. I'm gonna have a nightmare tonight. Sorry, Ilva. I'm happy to see so much personality and creativity in all these drawings and essays, though. You've all got so much imagination and expression. A gulp. All of those things are what the Guys! Is this the Nightmare Devil Fruit? Is this finally the Nightmare Devil Fruit? All of those things are what the children drew based on the prompt of what they were afraid of. That's ridiculous! That's ridiculous! I don't think it is! I don't think it is ridiculous! I turned the page, by the way. Before I read anything, I haven't read anything. I think, before I read anything, this is Loki. It doesn't make any sense for it to be Loki, but my gut tells me this is Loki. Black Nika with a beard, black beard. It does Loki look like it. Okay, let me read this. Let me read this. These things are a vision of the world that terrifies the children most. Bro, what the hell even is this? The weirdest thing is that all of these are things that we have seen. Like, at least to varying degrees. Like, this bear right here, he has the Kuma ears. That's obviously Nika. That looks like the big shadow monster. That looks like the undead Draugr thingy. That's Big Mom's thundercloud thingies. That looks like one of the elders. This, to be fair, also looks like one of the elders. Bro, this panel is like, they're just looking at it and it's like kind of, we are cooked. Dragon from Punk Hazard. Bingo. Yes. The kid who said his biggest fear was his mom. Do you think that's supposed to be Big Mom then? Yeah, my neuron activation, that's literally Big Mom right there. That's literally Big Mom right there. Bro, this panel goes so incredibly hard. Imagine if Oda just repurposes designs from the past to save time. I mean, who knows? It's just a giant's child. Child fears his mom. I don't know if it's supposed to be Big Mom or just a Big Mom. I don't know. Far left is Thriller Bark Shadow Monster. Call me crazy. It does kind of look like it. It does kind of look like it. Reminds me of Luffy in front of the elders. It does. I think it's when you have these shots of the main character just looking on in the distance, and it's just like the entire horizon is covered by monsters. It does have this sense of foreboding and overbearing power that you just don't understand. In the same way that we had the Sabo panel. When Sabo was in Marie Joie and the 5 elders popped their devil triggers, it was also like, Loki has both sword and a hammer. If that is supposed to be Loki, then yeah. Which, I mean, I think it has to be, right? Because they just talked about Loki. It has to be Loki. Yeah, that's what... Okay, let me finish actually reading. Hold on. Okay, we're all ready to go. Hey, good job. Okay, so never mind. So, my assumption that this could have been Loki is untrue. Which, like I said, it doesn't even make sense that it would be Loki, but my gut just told me that it's Loki. It doesn't make sense for it to be Loki because he's still locked up with Sea Prism. It doesn't make sense. But, it is what it is. Okay. The time limit is until the kids reach the ship. Do you think you can get them back? Oh, to know love is to wound one another. Bro, what are you yapping about? To know love is to wound one another. Say, Gunko, are you afraid of anything? Nika. Well, I'm sorry for you. I think you might get pummeled in the face by Nika, which might not be very fun for you. And that's it. But is his devil food just like nightmares? I think it is. Are they actually tangible things though? That's what's interesting to me. Are these just illusions and things that are just meant to absolutely disturb you and stuff? Or is this actually something that has a tangible impact on the world and on whatever's going on? Exactly how, number one, how does this power even work? If the greatest fear is a total, like, if you fear heights, what happens? Summer's powers are what happened to the PE teacher? I mean, what happened to him? He was just kind of destroyed, wasn't he? It does kind of make me wonder whether this whole... It makes me wonder whether these, like, different versions of Nika could be these different visions of freedom. Because freedom is freedom in the sense of liberation. But freedom is also freedom in the form of anarchy. Right? And those two things are very, very different. Because you can be free and you could still be governed by rules. But you could also be free with absolutely no rules. Which is kind of like this, this ultimate form of freedom that Blackbeard seems to be pursuing. Right? So... it's very interesting that, like, even when they hold the sun god in high regard, that they fear Nika. That's interesting. Huh. Okay, let me get caught up. Kirin has the sleep Nomi model. Peter Pan, instead of luring children to Wonderland of dreams, he makes nightmarish come to life. I do think it's something like that, like essentially giving their nightmares form. But I wonder, are they still limited by his power? Right? So, like, even if your nightmare is Nika, it wouldn't be Nika in the sense of actually Nika. It would just be his power taking on the form of Nika. Right? And in the same vein, what happens if these nightmarish forms are beaten up? Okay, where did I leave off? Can't wait to see Luffy, Zoro, or Sanji fears. Luffy's fear is going to be no food. It's going to be an empty flying. It's going to be aliens. Because it's going to be a flying disc, but there will be no food. And that's what Luffy's going to be afraid of. If we actually get to explore the Straw Hats facing their greatest fear in like a actual visual representation, that would be so cool. What if Zoro faces the Grim Reaper again? What if Zoro actually faces death again? Like, actually full-on death. That would be kind of cool. Summer's having ability that has to do with nightmares, but not being able to put anyone to sleep would make no sense. It's definitely Killingham. Which one of them is Killingham again? So this is... This is Killingham. Yeah, I don't know. I think the PE teacher tried to stop the children from following the arrows, and that's what happens if you try. Maybe. Maybe. Some people think Summer has this power that is, has not yet been seen, but Shamrock said make it a game. Why wouldn't they all participate? Yeah, I am kind of confused whose power is who. Because, like, if one of their powers is to bring their nightmares to life, that's one power. Making them fall asleep could be another power. Obviously, Gunko is guiding them. I'm not entirely sure. Bro, my chat keeps messing up. I constantly keep getting lost where I am. Look at the first panel. The serpent monster looks exactly like Dragon Ship. I know. I already said that earlier. The silhouette is exactly like Dragon Ship. It's exactly like Dragon Ship. And that's what's very, very weird. Because I always thought Dragon Ship was a dragon serpent, but this looks like a snake. Not a dragon serpent. I'm not sure if that's intentional, but it looks identical. At least to me. We haven't seen Loki's the top of Loki's hammer, so it's possible for it to have runes. I hope so. This chapter was a 10 out of 10. The only complaint is I have is that there's not more of it. I don't know if it's like a perfect 10 out of 10, because the start of it is just like chaos. But then again, that's also an important part of it, so I don't know. I mean, it's a very, very good chapter that definitely brings up a lot of questions. Because if we're gonna be fighting nightmares... I mean, like, there's a reason why it's your personal nightmare, you know? I don't think it's nightmares, it's the kids' manifested fears. What's the difference between a nightmare power and the kids' manifested fears? Because your fear would manifest in your nightmares, and then the nightmare would be given form. But if you just give the fear form, it's functionally the same thing. So it's not really that important to me, like, whether or not it's just a fear or a nightmare. Like, functionally is the same thing in my brain. It's just like how they're going to call it. And they're asleep, so I think it is a nightmare thing. But I don't know. Also, the thought I had was what is considered bulk in terms of the owl's power. If he's awakened, can he also shrink and enlarge anything with writing on it? Like a hammer for Usopp to use, or maybe even a poneglyph? What if we made runes? What if we wrote runes on a hammer and then gave that hammer to Usopp because it's technically a bulk? Maybe we can even call it Ragnir. If Zoro dies, it frees up a spot for Yamato. Bro, don't say that. Don't say that. In terms of checklists for when Ragnarok happens, we're only missing the Fire Giant. The last Holy Knight could have a power that resembles Surtur or Sutur. Sutur? I think it's gonna be something like that, yeah. Because, I mean... And to be fair, the tree is already on fire. So, what... What if is a random giant just catching fire technically Sutur because he's just a giant on fire? Maybe. What do you think Luffy's nightmare is? I think Luffy's fear is having no food, so maybe it's just a big plate with nothing. Something like that. After seeing Bonnie's ability, Killingham's ability being this powerful makes sense to me too. I mean, I've always thought that like, there's a reason why if you're reading JoJo, the further in JoJo you get, the most powerful stands are the ones that have, like, the most abstract, most esoteric abilities, right? And something that is as abstract as just a dream, as just a nightmare, as just, like, a fear, it's like, how do you even fight back against that, you know? And the more you go into these abstracts, the more it becomes essentially impossible to counteract these things. Because if you have someone that is just, like, punches you with a big fist, just get a bigger fist, you know? But if you have someone that literally invades your mind, well, then that's a completely different story. Luffy's nightmare might be a giant Akainu. It would just be a donut. It would just be a donut, not Akainu. Just a donut with a big hole. Just a big donut. One of the kids said that the assignment was going to give her nightmares. Bingo. Bingo. I think this is the smoking gun in terms of that. I think it's definitely a nightmare fruit. If anyone's dying, could we do away with Sanji? I think we watched some of the I did reactions to some of Teking's videos. So I talked a lot about that there. I think the implications of any of the crew dying would be catastrophic. I think if Sanji were to die, you could write off Zoro. And to an extent, you could probably also write off Luffy. Because I think Zoro would just absolutely crumble that he couldn't protect the crew. Because that's like Zoro's thing. So if you think about someone like Sanji dying, you need to immediately think of the domino effect. That would be catastrophic. The only person who I can see like being the first on the chopping block is Zoro. The rest of them, it starts like a whole domino thing. Now that I think about who in the Straw Hat... Bro, I don't even need to read this until the end. What if this is another Perona thing? Wait, why can't I fight you? Who are you? Are you the destined hero of Elbaf? No! I am just scared of everything! And that's it, like Usopp loses because his fears can't be manifested because he just fears everything. Like the only reason why Usopp is invulnerable is because his fears are everything. He has no weakness, no strength, because it's everything. He just wins by default. That'd be kind of funny. It's the same thing as I am depressed. The nightmare power is interesting because the person who's sleeping won't fight with it, but those who are awake, how can we say that the person who is asleep will overcome the fear? I mean, you raise a very, very good point, and we joke around about, like, seeing Luffy's fears. I don't think we will see the main crew's fears at all, because they're just not going to be affected by it. Like, there is no way that Luffy's power can be overwritten by a devil fruit. Like, his hockey is off the charts. There is no way that Luffy's gonna fall asleep. And it's the same thing with, like, Zoro Sanji. I just don't see that happening at all. If anything, this is going to be like a fight on multiple fronts, and Luffy and Zoro and Sanji will have to deal with Loki, while everyone else basically deals with the nightmare forms. And maybe Luffy comes in at the end to, like, vanquish the nightmares or something like that, but I don't think we're going to see the crew's nightmares, like, if we're really talking about it super seriously. Katakuri's fruit was owed to making fun of Ace? I don't know about that one. Would Zoro care if Sanji dies? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think Zoro's entire existence is predicated on the fact that he'll be the first one to die, and everyone else has to live. Every single time Zoro gets annoyed is because he is too weak. Like, if you look at the conversation between Zoro and Sanji in Wano, that's, like, one of the clearest examples of that. And because, like, Sanji was the one bandaging Zoro, and Zoro was incredibly annoyed because, like, he was not strong enough. Right, and then he pops off against death itself, and even then he's saying, like, no, not yet, not yet. I think if anyone on the crew were to get hurt while Zoro is capable of fighting, he would absolutely hate himself. Because, like, if you think about the objectives of every single Straw Hat in the crew, Zoro doesn't have one except to be strong. That's his only purpose. He is just there to etch the name of Kuina on the face of the earth, and then to be strong for the crew. That's it. He's not the cook. He's not the navigator. He's not the doctor. He is just muscle. And if he fails, that's GG's. Like, if Sanji dies, Zoro should have been the one to protect him. In the same way that we saw that in whatchamacallit, in Thriller Bark. Zoro truly loves the crew, even the shitty cook. I don't think it's even about who it is. It's just about anyone. I think if Zoro can protect someone, that's like his... Like, that's his entire purpose. He doesn't care if it's Sanji, Usopp, even Saul, or someone like that. If it's someone Zoro must protect, and he can't protect them, that's like his entire purpose. Killingham would try to manifest Usopp's nightmares, and the overwhelming reaction would cause a feedback effect. It's just like, literally, it creates a black hole because of the mass of his fears. They just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, they just implode on themselves. Nami fear must be losing money. Sanji will pick up Zoro's dream of being world's strongest swordsman and use three sword style with his feet and mouth. I'm sure. I'm sure. I know his channel made a video about Zoro's anxiety after last week's chapter. It's pretty good if you want a deeper look at his psyche. I made a video about this myself. I've yapped about this for a long time. I think like Zoro's biggest thing is just the fear of not being able to protect people. And that's it. Let me bring up the video. The genius of Zoro's silent suffering. This one right here. This is, as you can see, the burden of the strongest. That's what the entire video is about. It's on the main channel. The live action episode directors, I did see that. Yeah, I did see that. If Zoro died, Sanji would become a drunk. I really hope that if we see the crew's nightmares, it won't turn into just gags, but instead will be introspective so that we get something deeper from the characters. Yes. Yes. If we did something like that, I would love that. I don't want just like goofs and gaffs. I want to really delve into their psyches, and I think that's like one of the reasons why I absolutely love Zoro's character, because a lot of his dreams and a lot of his aspirations and fears, they are completely internalized. Like, he doesn't talk. There is no spot where Zoro just sits and talks about what he feels. It's all expressed through the subtle grunts and him being annoyed and him asking certain questions that you can see he's trying to like let out some kind of emotion, but he never does. And that's what like nothing happens really signifies. He will never tell anyone about his suffering because that's what he does. He just protects them. He doesn't expect anything. He doesn't need anything. He just does what he does because that's what Zoro is. Melody also has a video on Zoro's character. I saw that video in my recommended, but I didn't watch it because I thought it would, I think it was right around the time when I must have been working on this video, because I specifically didn't watch it because I thought it might be too similar to what I'm gonna say, and I didn't want to, like, taint my thoughts. It's the same thing I've said before. I don't watch a lot of One Piece creators because I sort of want my wild takes to be my own wild takes. That's how I can come up with something like this. And I don't know if this conspiracy board is insane or not. I don't know how many people think about this stuff. I have no idea if there are actually people who are like, yup, Brook's Devil Fruit and his soul thing, definitely important to the summoning circle, and that is definitely important to this, and that is important to his Bible and the Bible for Nika, and he has a cross. Have you thought about that? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Because maybe you should. It's very important. It's very important. I think Zoro will lose one of his swords in this arc. What is his current what swords does he even have now? Zoro swords. So he currently has, so he wields Enma, he wields Sandai Kitetsu, and the Wado Ichimonji. Yes. Which of them would he replace? I don't know. Like, obviously, he wouldn't replace the Wado Ichimonji, and he wouldn't replace Enma either. So the only one he could replace is the Cursed Blade, and that's about it. Yeah, exactly, like, Enma and Kuino's sword are off limits, absolutely. The Cursed Sword is the only one that he could replace, but even that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure he would. Do you have any reasoning behind why Zoro would lose it? And what he would replace it with? Or is it just like a vibe? I've been memeing about Usopp being a counter to Killingham, but Brook plus Robin would also be great counters to his power, just like in Wano. That's also true, yeah. That's true. What if Elbaf will be Sabaody 2.0, but this time Kuma will send all the crew in one place with himself, like the Red Line or Lodestar? I think the idea behind that is really, really cool, and I kind of expected something like that with Egghead. But I don't know how that would work out, if that makes sense. Because I do think Elbaf by the end of this arc will be very, very different. I think when we say Ragnarok, this is not going to be like the typical arc thing where the island is attacked and it's bad. I think this is going to be absolutely like cataclysmic. And if all of them just get teleported to somewhere, that does make a lot of sense in terms of like how we get away from the God Knights and how we don't get just like caught up in all of this, because I do think this is going to be a convergence thing of a lot of different powers, but I don't know how that's gonna work out. Wado would be destroyed and reforged. I think Kitetsu will be reforged into a new sword by blacksmiths in Elbaf. Maybe. Is your caps lock broken? Relax. The tree will be cut down. I don't think if the world tree is cut down, I think that would have to be like a really, like an actual signifier that like the world itself is on fire. So I don't know if we would do that. I can see the tree being torn down maybe after we even leave Elbaf, but maybe it's now. Maybe it is now. Because during Ragnarok, the Rainbow Roads, they were destroyed. And the Rainbow Roads obviously lead up to the tree. So if this is really which it is supposed to be Ragnarok, because it's, again, it's Ragnir, right? So if this is like 100% Ragnarok, then the tree would have to be destroyed. Worldwide destruction, end of the Age of Gods, beginning of the Age of Men, and rebuilding after the war. That's the idea behind Ragnarok. Yeah, exactly. But like, I'm just thinking like, what would that actually imply in the world of One Piece? That's what I'm thinking. Because like, is it just the tree burning down and that's it? I don't know. Would it be people stopping the belief in Nika completely and just putting their trust in someone like Luffy and that's it? Like all of these gods and stuff are dead. It's kind of like the same thing, God is dead and we killed him. Like that kind of vibe. Is it just like completely the beliefs of Elbaf, the beliefs of like the wider society as a whole completely shifts? I don't know. Anyway, let me run through the chapter real quick to see if I've missed anything. And I think unfortunately there is a break next week. I'm so disappointed because of Shamrock. I don't think you should be disappointed because of Shamrock. I think you're going to be very happy about what happens next. I think that Oda is being very, very cheeky. Very cheeky by removing Shamrock from the equation for now. I think he's going to put him somewhere else. And I think wherever he is put, that's where things are going to get real bad. I'm still half expecting a battle between Shanks and Shamrock. I think the obligatory, I'm sorry it had to end this way, brother. I think like it has to happen. We have to see the two brothers face each other. Should the God Knights be stronger than the Straw Hats? I mean, they're definitely strong, but not to the level that they could be considered a threat to the Straw Hats so much so that they're forced to... I don't know what you mean. But I don't think the God Knights will be like a direct threat to the Straw Hats. I think it's going to be more of an abstract thing of dealing with the things that the God Knights do. I think if Luffy could get to them, he could pretty easily knock them out. I don't think it would be a particularly hard fight for him. That's just the fight. That's just the vibe I'm getting, right? Because like if all the God Knights are on the level of a Emperor, then like I'm sorry, the whole logic of the series kind of begins to kind of be flimsy. I don't think the God Knights can contest someone like Luffy, right? But I think all of them together, they will still cause a lot of trouble for Elbaf. Especially if one of their fruit is nightmares. Like, that's just a thing that is hard to deal with, because it's like an abstract. And then if we have Loki just burning down the entire forest, well, that's like an existential thing. Right? Like, there's no way to really stop a fire once it's already lit. And at that point, it's like an actual existential fight to just save what you can save. Alright. Yeah, Nika being feared, that's like the biggest thing for me. Loki is obviously cooler than Kaido. It's not even close. This is not recency bias. This is just a fact. Like, literally, Kaido is the smaller version of Loki. It's kind of funny, if you think about it. Saul being cool is cool. And that's about it. What a chapter. What a chapter. Kaido is like the size of half of Loki's toes. I think the God Knights in Elbaf should be defeated, so that's why Shamrock was removed. If he was defeated, then the God Knight stocks would fall too much, but if 3 random ones are defeated, it's not such a big deal. I think so. I think so. I think you're basically right on the money. I think you're absolutely right on the money. I think they individually, they won't pose that big of a threat, but I think the forces of the God Knights, those will be strong. Like the cumulative forces of the God Knights, in the same way that the Revolutionary Army, the cumulative forces of the Revolutionary Army, they're a force to be reckoned with. But individually, like, they're not emperors. Like, they're not going to be the ones splitting the skies. It's just not. Like, when we think about the tippity top, it's the 5 elders, it's the admirals, and it's the emperors, right? Everything else is kind of shades of gray. But those are like the big hitters. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll leave it there. What a wild chapter. What a wild chapter. I predict Dragon will be a top combatant. I think so too. I think Dragon's gonna be real strong. Dragon has been cooked up way too much for him not to be big strong. I'm not sure about Sabo, but I do think he's gonna be OP as all hell. But yeah, I really hope to be on a few more times throughout the week. We'll see what happens. And if you're here just for One Piece, unless we get some kind of big news about live action, then I guess I'll see you back in 2 weeks. I guess. We'll see what happens. Alright. Thank you for joining me. If I don't see you on streams, then there's gonna be another new video on the main channel this weekend. And then we'll go from there. We'll see, there's a lot of stuff happening. Alright. Thanks again for joining. And I'll see you back soon, TM. Bye-bye.